Surely you haven't forgotten the moment that shocked the world at the Vatican, when Kate Middleton, the beloved royal admired across the globe, extended her hand to greet Pope Leo XIV during a formal ceremony, only for him to refuse the handshake. The entire room fell silent for a few seconds. Eyes widened in disbelief, and cameras instantly captured the moment. But what truly stunned everyone was what the Pope did next. Something no one expected, not even his closest aides. It wasn't just a polite nod or a ceremonial dismissal. No, his action carried a message, powerful, symbolic, and possibly a warning directed at the British royal family. What exactly happened in that brief encounter? Could it be tied to hidden truths between the Catholic Church and the Crown? And how did Kate Middleton react after being publicly refused in front of the entire world? Everything will be revealed right now. The handshake that never happened. Just 5 days after Pope Leo XIV first stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, the world still hadn't caught its breath. His election had shocked even seasoned Vatican watchers. An American pope. It sounded like fiction. Yet there he stood, defying centuries of ceremonial tradition with calm defiance. No embroidered robes, no gold-threaded vestments, no jewel-studded rings. Instead, he wore a simple black cassock and walked without an entourage. He dined at a wooden table. His bed was a plain cot tucked into a modest chamber without tapestries or marble. He wasn't interested in thrones. The only crown he recognized was one of thorns. That morning, and in the dim hush of the Sistine Chapel, Pope Leo knelt alone in silent prayer. Sunlight from ancient stained glass windows painted colors across the stone floor as he murmured a passage from the Gospel of John. Behind him, a Vatican aide approached, lowering his head. "Your Holiness," he said gently, "Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has requested an audience. She's en route to Rome, no official delegation, no diplomatic channels." The Pope opened his eyes, stood, and turned to the altar. "The Princess of Wales," he asked. "Yes," the aide replied. "She wishes to offer her congratulations personally." Leo dusted the sleeves of his cassock and studied the candles on the altar for a moment. Then, with quiet certainty, he said, "Prepare the receiving room, but this meeting will not follow usual protocol." "Shall I notify the press?" the aide asked. "There's no need," the Pope answered, his voice steady. "The world will hear soon enough." Meanwhile, high above the Mediterranean, Kate Middleton reviewed her notes inside a sleek private aircraft. Always composed, always camera-ready, she was more than just a royal figure. She was a global brand. Her team circled around her, reading every word of her carefully crafted statement. It was designed not just as a greeting, but as a statement of identity: regal, polished, warm, and unmistakably modern. "This moment," she said, "is about connection between faith and grace, between tradition and today. I want that image on every front page." Her stylist checked her outfit: soft ivory, simple pearls, everything chosen for quiet power. Her assistant, a bit more anxious, spoke up. "Your Royal Highness, this Pope is different. He breaks rules. He's unpredictable." Kate smiled, calm and unwavering. "I'm not here to impress him. I'm here to meet him, as one symbol to another." As her plane touched down in Rome, Vatican corridors buzzed with whispers. "Princess of Wales seeks private audience. No advance notice." First meeting between monarchy and American pontiff. Journalists scrambled. Vatican guards adjusted ceremonial posts. Cameras were positioned. The ornate hall, usually reserved for kings and heads of state, was arranged with meticulous precision, but stripped of excess. No velvet drapes, no golden thrones. Pope Leo sat in contemplative silence, clad only in his red mozzetta over a plain cassock. No ring, no scepter, just a man of faith waiting. "The blessings that the Lord continues to pour out upon all of us," he murmured. Then the doors opened. Kate entered, radiant and poised, her every step rehearsed yet graceful. The room froze. Cameras clicked. Flashbulbs burst. Aides fell silent as she approached the Pope directly with the practiced charm of someone who had met countless world leaders. Smiling, she extended her hand. "Your Holiness," she said warmly, "on behalf of the British people, it is an honor to greet you, from one servant of the public to another." But Pope Leo did not reach. His eyes met hers, calm, focused, unmoving. His hands remained folded gently in his lap. The silence was deafening. Her hand lingered just inches from his. Seconds passed. Kate held her posture, smile still in place, but the warmth in her eyes flickered into confusion. Then, slowly, gracefully, she lowered her hand. "I see," she said, barely above a whisper. Without a word, Pope Leo stood and walked past her, not to embrace, not to apologize, but to approach a small wooden table off to the side. Upon it sat a simple silver basin, a clay pitcher of water, and a folded white towel. With quiet deliberation, he rolled up his sleeves. What happened next would rattle the very definition of diplomacy and sacred ritual. Pope Leo's response after the incident is coming. But what message was hidden in that silent gesture? Why did it leave even Kate Middleton questioning everything? Stay glued. The Pope's unexpected response to Kate Middleton, a moment that shocked everyone. The room was quiet, too quiet for the Vatican. Not a whisper, not even a shuffle of papers, just the sound of Pope Leo XIV standing before a silver basin, sleeves rolled up, a steady calm in his eyes. All attention had been on the handshake he refused, but now something even more unusual was unfolding. Across from him stood Catherine, Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, known for her grace under pressure, carefully crafted appearances, and unwavering poise. She now faced a moment with no script, no precedent, and no palace-approved briefing. This wasn't a meet and greet, it was something else entirely. "Your Royal Highness," Pope Leo said, voice calm but firm, "I didn't come here to exchange gestures for the cameras." He gestured to the basin, then looked at her with purpose. "I came to offer something deeper." The room shifted, tension turned to bewilderment. "You have called me to carry that cross and to be blessed with that mission," he added. Kate's staff exchanged glances, unsure what to do. Vatican officials leaned in to hear better. The press, stunned into stillness, could only stare. One journalist dropped their pen, its sharp crack on the marble floor echoing like a starting gun. Kate, who had smiled and spoken with prime ministers and presidents with effortless polish, hesitated, not out of fear, but genuine uncertainty. She had come to honor the new pope with a gesture of unity, one world figure to another, but the Pope had flipped the script. "If you're willing," Leo continued, gesturing again to the water, "I invite you to join me in a ritual older than any title either of us wears." The basin shimmered under the warm light of the apostolic palace. Simple and ancient, the Holy Father waited, hands suspended above the water, motionless. Kate stepped forward slightly, instinctively, then stopped. "This isn't what I expected," she said, her voice quieter than usual, thoughtful. "No," the Pope replied with a soft smile. "It isn't what any of us expected. That's why it matters." It was no longer a photo opportunity or diplomacy. It had become something sacred. He motioned gently to the other side of the basin. "Leadership," he said, his eyes glancing briefly at her unshaken hand, "is not in the strength of our grip, but in the humility of our touch." For a moment, Kate Middleton, Duchess, future queen, symbol of royal elegance, stood frozen. She'd spent years mastering moments, gliding through chaos without a misstep. But this wasn't about mastery, it was about surrender. Everything in her urged retreat. This wasn't on the schedule, no media angle prepared. Yet something in the Pope's voice, quiet and timeless, cut through the noise. She took a slow breath and walked forward. The press gasped. Cameras locked in. Advisors held their breath. She stopped at the basin, standing directly opposite the Holy Father. Her face showed no fear, only raw, honest curiosity. She was stepping into the unknown. Pope Leo lifted the clay pitcher. The soft sound of pouring water echoed like a prayer. In the Gospel of John, he said gently, Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, not because he had to, but because no leader stands above those they serve. He dipped his hands into the water. No words, just the weight of centuries pressing into a moment neither could have imagined. Kate reached for the towel. With elegant care, she dried the Pope's wet hands, deliberate, respectful, not performative. For the first time, cameras captured her not as a duchess or future queen, but as a person willing to pause, be present, and engage in something deeply human. When she was done, the Pope washed her hands in return, the hands that had held her children, waved to crowds, steadied microphones, and carried royal duty for over a decade. Those hands were now in his. And as he dried them, Kate didn't resist. She allowed it. No one clapped. No one spoke. No hashtags. No commentary. Only watching. Everyone knew something had shifted, but no one could yet describe it. The Pope turned to the press. "We may speak," he said, his voice carrying quiet command. Then he looked at an aide. "Let the press re-enter fully." Kate glanced down at her hands. They were dry, but not the same. Her expression was calm, but her posture had changed. Softer, still proud, still royal, but somehow different. She stood beside the Pope now, no longer a guest, but something closer. The cameras rolled. The world watched, still trying to understand what had happened. This leads us to the reason for the Pope's action. What message was buried beneath the ritual? Why was Kate chosen to receive it? The deeper meaning behind the Pope's refusal. They gathered as always, journalists from around the world, cameras rolling, notebooks open, microphones blinking. But something was different this time. The air wasn't buzzing with usual tension. A strange hush settled over the press room. No one rushed to speak. It wasn't fear, it was confusion. The drama they'd expected hadn't unfolded as thought. They'd witnessed something, but weren't sure if it was a confrontation or something far more personal. Then came the first question from a French reporter. "Your Holiness, he said, rising carefully. You refused the Princess of Wales's handshake. Was that a sign of rejection?" Pope Leo XIV answered without pause. "It wasn't a sign of anything. It was a sign of intention. We live in a time where gestures are done for applause, not meaning. I didn't refuse to shame her. I declined to invite her into something deeper." His words sank in slowly, rearranging expectations. Kate, the Princess of Wales, stood beside him with a reflective gaze. She seemed changed, as if someone had reached past her armor. There was less defiance now, more awareness. A Reuters journalist leaned forward. "Were you offended, Princess?" "I was surprised," she said honestly, "but not offended. I expected protocol. Instead, I got perspective." Another reporter's voice pierced the air. "Was this stage symbolism for the Pope cameras?" Leo nearly smiled. "Had we planned it, it would have been meaningless. It wasn't just, it was real." She didn't react, she responded. Kate nodded gently. "There's a difference between being caught off guard and being invited into something that forces you to think." What he offered was unsettling, but true. That kind of honesty is rare in politics. The journalists were leaning in now, leaned forward. The firebrand image of Kate had vanished. The Pope, too, no longer seemed like the distant symbol of tradition, seemed less like a distant figure. Someone in the back broke the spell. "Your Holiness, some say you embarrassed her, that this was about power, not about humility." "If humility feels like dominance," the Pope replied, "then perhaps we've misunderstood humility. It was a moment that it felt less like a press conference, and more like something ancient had been remembered. Now to Pope Leo on the world stage, meeting with thousands of journalists from around the world this morning, including those watching from across the sea, from the quiet elegance of her home in Windsor. Kate Middleton absorbed every second. This wasn't just a story about politics or religion. It was about grace under scrutiny, about finding meaning in the understated. And no one understands that better than Kate. Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, doesn't command attention through grand speeches or dramatic confrontations. She moves quietly, her gestures are deliberate, soft, but firm, warm, but never overexposed, like the Pope's refusal to engage in empty ritual. Kate has often chosen presence over performance. At royal events, she embodies restraint, not out of fear, but respect for something larger than herself. Just like Leo, in that moment of pause, Kate knows when to pause, not to speak, when to let silence carry weight. Where others might respond with defensive postures, Kate leans into moments of discomfort with grace. Her power lies in what she doesn't need to prove. It's not a performance, it's conviction. As the journalists continued their questioning, one asked, "Why water? Your Holiness, why did you use that for such a symbolic moment?" "Because we're." He replied gently, "Water purifies, humbles, and unites. It is the first sign of creation in every sacred text. If we cannot stand at the same basins, how can we lead from the same well?" Kate, who has always navigated tension between tradition and modernity, would have understood that perfectly. She's faced pressures of public image, motherhood, duty, and palace politics, often all at once. Yet she rarely falters, because, like the Pope, she believes in the power of quiet symbolism. Kate glanced down at her hands. "I didn't expect to be humbled today," she admitted quietly. "I don't always agree with everything the church stands for, but my grandfather used to say, if your pride drowns out your conscience, you're not leading, you are just selling." Would Kate Middleton say the same? Perhaps not in so many words, but in her actions. The way she interacts with the hospital patients, the way she steers quietly away from drama, the way she guards her family. Her message is the same. True leadership isn't loud, it's consistent. A quiet voice asked, "Princess, would you do it again?" "Yes," she said without hesitation. Not because it was easy, it wasn't. The Pope nodded. "True transformation begins where comfort ends," he said. That line swept through social media like wildfire. In seconds, the story was rewritten. Not a rejection, but a dramatic revelation. All eyes turned to the journalists. Their reaction was swift. How did they see the incident? What did it reveal about leadership, and whether humility is truly the new strength? Stay tuned for more. From questions to respect, journalists react to Kate Middleton's bold move to Pope Leo's choice. Inside the Grand Hall, something unexpected unfolded. Not the usual press chaos with flashing cameras and loud voices, but stillness. A rare silence settled over journalists who usually pounced with rapid-fire questions, found themselves listening, actually listening. A BBC reporter broke the silence. "Your Holiness," she said carefully, "some commentators argue your actions today blur the line between religion and politics, blurring the line between sincere belief and performance. Isn't that a dangerous precedent?" Pope Leo folded his hands, his gaze calm. "Faith is not a performance," he said, "and service is not theater. What we offered today was not a step toward a church and state. It was a step away from spectacle." His eyes shifted to Catherine, Princess of Wales. Kate Middleton now stood not just as a royal, but as a figure of depth. What she offered wasn't submission, it was courage. Kate didn't speak right away. She didn't need to. Her expression was grounded, more reflective than defensive. This was the Kate often hidden behind protocol, the one who listens before acting, who weighs a moment before reacting. Another reporter stood, Princess Catherine, as a woman in a position of influence. Did this moment feel like it was meant to test your authority? It wasn't about power. Kate replied softly but clearly. It was a test, yes, but not of rank or role. It was a test of presence. And in this moment, I chose to show up, not show off. A quiet murmur passed through the room. No longer a press conference. It was now a turning point, a space where faith, tradition, and personal conviction collided, reshaping each other. Another voice asked, Your Holiness, is this symbolic approach part of a new Vatican diplomacy? Personal, unpredictable, and emotional. Pope Leo answered without pause. This isn't diplomacy, it's discipleship. The Church doesn't trade in pageantry, it stands for truth. And people are weary, tired of empty gestures, tired of pretending. A reporter from South America leaned forward. Then what does it mean that Princess Catherine accepted your gesture? The Pope glanced at Kate. It means transformation is possible, that even those raised in palaces can choose humility. True faith doesn't care about crowns or titles. It only asks, will you kneel? Some pens dropped. For a breathless moment, journalism gave way to witnessing something profound. Then Kate's voice rose. Steadier now. All my life, she said, I've been told strength means perfection. But today, I realize something else. Strength without surrender is just fear wrapped in grace. She turned to the cameras, speaking not as a duchess, but as a woman shedding protocol for honesty. If the people watching this remember one thing, let it be this. Don't mistake elegance for leadership or confidence for conviction. I'm still learning, and I hope I never stop. The Pope placed his hand to his heart. Real leaders do not lead from afar, he said. They serve side by side, and today the world saw that. Outside, crowds still gathered, but quieter now, not seeking gossip, but meaning. A different kind of story had taken root. The press conference ended, not with a flurry, but with respect. Now, let's uncover how Kate Middleton's quiet, powerful gesture of silent approval and deep respect toward Pope Leo speaks volumes without a single word. A moment of true leadership. Kate Middleton and the Pope's silent exchange. An aide moved forward to escort Pope Leo XIV and Kate out of the hall, but instead of heading through separate doors, the Pope gestured toward a quiet side corridor. No cameras, no microphones, just the two of them. Kate hesitated, then followed. They walked through a narrow passage into a small private chapel, dimly lit. A single candle flickered beneath a simple wooden cross. No gold, no marble, just silence. I wasn't ready for this, Kate whispered. No one is, the Pope replied, kneeling at the front pew. She stood awkwardly behind, unsure. I thought I'd be in control, she admitted. You still are, he said gently. But what kind of control do you really want? Sitting beside him, Kate reflected on her journey. For years, she had spoken about leading, changing things, giving voice to the forgotten, but never about changing herself. Now, staring at the crucifix, she realized she'd been trying to control everything outside, never allowing anything to change her inside. The Pope smiled. Maybe today is just the beginning. A soft knock interrupted, but Leo waved it off. From his sleeve, he pulled out a small hand-carved olive wood rosary. This was given to me by a woman in Palestine who lost 3 sons in conflict. He said, she had almost nothing left but her faith, and even that, she shared. He placed the rosary in her hand. This isn't just a token, it's a reminder of what you already know inside. Kate closed her fingers around it. I don't even know how to pray, she said. You just did, he replied softly. She laughed quietly, caught between discomfort and wonder. You surprise me, Pope Leo, and you surprise me, he replied. Most run from the unexpected. You stepped into it. He asked seriously, why did you stay after I refused your handshake? Why didn't you leave? Kate thought, then said, it didn't feel like rejection. It was a challenge. I didn't want to fail it. He nodded. And you didn't. Outside, the world buzzed with speculation. But inside the chapel, two leaders sat simply, no titles, no guards, no performance, just two people learning humility. When they emerged, the atmosphere had changed. Reporters lowered their voices, hesitant to disturb something sacred. The Pope and Kate walked side by side. No entourage, no announcements, just presence. A reporter asked, will you release a statement? Kate paused, looked at the Pope, then back. No, she said, because for once, words aren't enough. The crowd fell silent. The Pope raised his hand to acknowledge them, then unexpectedly extended his hand to Kate. She accepted. The crowd erupted, not in chaos, but awe. It was a handshake of recognition, not victory. Inside the apostolic palace, a cardinal murmured, that was unprecedented. Leo smiled, so was Christ. The encounter between Pope Leo XIV and Kate Middleton may have lasted only a moment, but its impact echoed around the world. In the realms of royalty and religion, nothing is ever truly accidental. A refused handshake can carry an entire chapter of the history, politics, and unspoken messages. So what lies beneath that silence? We may have only scratched the surface of a much deeper truth. If you, like us, are curious and eager to uncover the secrets hidden behind the royal velvet curtains, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now. Let us be your companion on this journey to unravel the untold stories and hidden truths from behind palace walls. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.